Hey everybody out there, Chiefs Kingdom YouTube. It is your boy Big Chief Sean, and as always, I got my boy Stubbs here, and we're here for another hats off discussion. And today we're here to talk about a few things, get a few offense, defense, all that kind of stuff. But before we get started, if you like this video, I want you to give it a like and subscribe so you can see more of our faces every day. How's it been, man?
Not bad.
The game was very interesting, for the most part. We won. If that's what matters most, that's what most people would say. That matters.
W's a W.
The win's a win. But how do you feel overall with the team performance?
I mean, it was a decent game. I mean, there was a couple of plays that was left out there. You got the miscommunication between Tyreek and Mahomes. I think Mahomes was trying to go a little ahead of him. Tyreek thought was going to be left. You got the holding call on the touchdown. Tyreek backflipped. The play with Kelsey and Mahomes and then there. So you had a couple of miscommunications and misplays there that would have blown the game out technically there. But I mean, other than that, it was an average game for the most part. Kelsey got his yards. Reed got his yards. Mahomes wasn't too great of a day, 313 passing, but he was like 25 of 40, which isn't really him. I mean, he throws that much, but he usually doesn't miss that much, really.
I mean, that was a real issue with me. I was worried about the offense. Well, I mean, because we depend on it so much, and it's like they were just. I don't know. I may be wrong. You may know a little bit more than me, but I felt like they were really winging it most of the time. It's like they were experimenting, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to experiment because you want to see what you can do and can't do in the game because you don't want to just do that.
Yeah, trying to open up the playbook.
Yeah, at a time
work
where
in a game and not. It's a different playing.
Did you feel like that, or?
Yeah, you could definitely tell they were playing around, trying to see what they could do in the games and stuff. For the most part, that's why you've seen all the little trick plays and sweeps and gadgets. And But the one thing I wanted to see was the lines get better, and I didn't really see that too much. Especially no sacks. I don't even think there was really any pressures in the game. But other than that, it was a decent game. Just the points on both the lines need to start getting tough.
And you know, of course, on that side. So we're going to start a little bit early, and we're going to talk about the offense. Were we the same? Or did we get a little bit better? What did you think about it overall? Because we're still I mean, they say we're the number one offense, and obviously there's no way to argue with that because I don't see any other offenses, maybe the Saints, that could topple ours or give us any kind of fist for it. But what did you feel about the offense as overall?
I mean, they're clicking. They're doing their thing. Like I said, there's a couple miscatches, miscommunication there in that game. But other than that, I think they're ready to go full bore. You've seen them adding a little bit extra wrinkles into each plays, and especially the one where you got Mahomes dancing in the backfield. They keep adding different wrinkles to that. So eventually, we're going to see something else with that too. So we're not too worried with them, besides just the line getting tough and doing their job. But I mean, they've led up the least sacks almost. I think second least amount of sacks throughout the season. So they're doing something. A lot of that's with Mahomes moving around and keeping his feet moving. But I mean, they're doing the job, getting it done.
And to keep on the offense, and you said the blocking, because you're saying that was one of the two things you really wanted to see: offensive, defensive lines. Do you feel like Fisher, because he's one of the most experienced on our team, next to Schwartz, who he's not playing right now, do you feel like he's lived up to that 1-1 standard?
1-1, no, not necessarily. Especially how long it took him to get to the Pro Bowl caliber level. I think that was just 2 years ago, maybe 3. He finally made Pro Bowl. Still hasn't made an All-Pro ballot. He's just been in the Pro Bowl, so our first team All-Pro. But I mean, he's gotten a lot better. I mean, his technique. I mean, for the most part, I'd say about average, top of the average type of his job. But I mean, he's protecting him. But living up to the 1-1, I'd say no. Not a bust, but he ain't necessarily.
I wouldn't necessarily call him bust either, but I will say there is room for improvement.
Definitely.
Because you see that game last week and the week before that, and there's always somebody blowing him up or pushing him down, and Mahomes is getting hit from that left side, and he never sees it coming because he's doing what a quarterback's supposed to do. You're supposed to put faith in your father. You're supposed to, when you hike that ball, you're not thinking about getting sacked because you like this. They got me. And I just don't feel like he steps up to that par a lot of times. And I know most of the time who he's taking on are pretty elite rushers, but not all the time. You know what I mean? I have a concern on that. I worry about it because we can't get our run game going off half the time.
One thing I will give him is that we've had a lot of movement on our line. I mean, you got Tardif out, Reamers got put in there, you got Allegretti in there now. So there has been a little bit of movement, and when you get a different guy next to you, it's all about meshing together and knowing what the guy next to you is going to do. So give him a little bit on that, but you gotta get strong. I want to see him work out now. That's some weight, something. Working on the cars, fish. Work on the muscle.
Okay, the offense is solid, but we do need to talk about that defense though, because it's hella sus, man. I mean, all this season, I've been worried. And last year, as we explained last year we didn't have these worries. We were going in like, well, we got 15th ranked defense. That's all we need. They play off when they need to play. Do you think they did this time, or do they still have something to work on?
They definitely got a lot to work on. But I mean, you look at the stats, we're ranked 17th in the league, which I think is higher than what we were ranked at this point last year. I think we were down low 20s, or high 20s, low 20s.
We were like 21st, I believe.
So, I mean, compared to everybody else, they're doing about the same, about average, but the run game is so terrible.
Yeah, we're worse in the league in run defense. Yeah.
But last week, like, the stats, he had that one big run, 65 yards, so it made it look worse, but of course they still let that play happen.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if that didn't want to break down on that play, you would have been looking at only 80-something yards.
And that's not too bad. I mean, it's a bend no break type of attitude when it comes to our defense. And talking about the other thing you were talking about was the defensive line, and Jones and Clark both coming together, because I've obviously said on my videos that I'm becoming a fan of Frank, and these last few weeks I haven't.
To me, it's been a year compared to last year.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this time last year, him and Frank were at least having people's doubts go away.
He is still on the edge this year for the most part. There hasn't been too many runs to the outside that way. And
but that's the thing about it. Like last week, Chris Conlon said something that still resonates with me. He's as good as he wants to be.
Yeah,
and
that is definitely true.
And like you can see it last week, one play he's bullying 3 guys, and then the next play he's getting singled up and he's on the floor. So it's like, are you playing around? Are you taking this seriously? I mean, what do you think?
He got paid. I mean, a lot of time when you see guys that are willing to sit out for money or say, I'm not going to play unless you pay me, once you pay those guys, they don't really live up to it, at least with Chiefs history. Houston, I mean, Barry played up, but then he wasn't willing to take a pay cut, and that's why he ain't a Chief right now. If he would have took that pay cut, he'd probably still be a Chief right there.
Probably
next
the
to
best
Matthew.
safety. And I'm still saying it. It's Sorensen. I know a lot of y'all look, oh, Sorensen. He's all right. No, Sorensen's the best safety we have.
Probably. Hey, baby.
I mean, y'all see it. He's saving games. He's winning games. He's doing exactly what Eric did. He's getting interceptions to win the games. He's getting pick six to change the momentum. It's Sorensen. It's no question. When he's out of position, but that's with anybody. If anybody's out of position, like last week, when you have fucking Passano, excuse my mouth, when you have Passano chasing Gronk, or 2 weeks ago when Passano was chasing Gronk.
Not his forte. Dude is too tall and big to be following.
That's not that. He's a lineman. He's not meant for speed. He's not meant for coverage. He's meant for, hey, I need to get the quarterback or stop the run.
6'10".
Yeah. Taking on Gronk, who is at least knows how to run the ball and do his thing. Like, it's crazy. What do you think? Are we out of position? Are we tripping here?
I mean, they're gonna get it together. They did last year, just like they looked worse than they did last year that they do at this point. Yeah. And they brought it together. We were probably one of the worst rush defenses last year. Came into the postseason and held Henry to what was 60-something yards?
Yeah, like 67
something like
yards.
that. And then the next few games, it wasn't much either.
Yeah.
But not necessarily shit to me. It's the line's not getting pressure. We got one of the top secondaries. I think they're 4th or 5th in the league. So, but when you get no pressure up in that front, you can have the best corners and safeties in the league ever throughout history, and they're not. The receivers are gonna get open.
Yeah.
So we got to start getting some pressure. If it's putting Saunders back in, he's been a healthy scratch for games. I just found out they're not putting him in because they're liking what Wharton's doing.
Yeah.
Well, clearly what you guys are doing ain't working because if we've only had one sack every game for the last 4 games, and we're lucky to get that, you need to do something. You need to go back to having Saunders, Pennell, Saunders, Noddy, something there. And then our linebackers got to fill the gaps. They're waiting at the gaps for the running back to come through instead of attacking it, giving themselves up to let somebody else make the tackle or blow the guy's legs out. Not breaking them, but like DJ used to do. He used to blow that hole up, dive in there, and blow the guy's legs out, and he'd be sacked right there, hit right there.
When we had our linebacking core back in the day, that's when I was comfortable most with our defense.
Definitely.
And when you're talking about defense, let's talk about the Dolphins and their defense. Because they're number 2 in the league. We take them on this Sunday.
Well, they're number 2 at the rushing. But they're actually just above us at 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the league.
Okay.
They're letting up 355, 232 in the pass, 122 in the rush. So, I mean, 17 points
but their
a game.
defense, or at least their secondary, they do have some pretty good safeties that can chase. But do you think they have what it takes in the defensive struggle to get us?
If they can get after us with the rush, if our tackles don't hold up in the game, they do blitz a lot. They get about 2.6 sacks a game. So I mean, as long as we can hold up on that end and Mahomes move around like he usually does, we should be all right. Because the passing yards they usually do let up are deep passes. Once they're put over 20 yards, they're probably like one of the last in the league on it. So as long as we do our thing, get that deep ball going.
Because with their defense, they do hold it down. But in my opinion, Tua is trying to have a game to put his mark down.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like with Mahomes 3 years ago when he beat, even though they were the secondary, Vaughn was still out there. And that's still an accomplishment to make him go, oh my God, he's going left.
Yeah, and they haven't really played too good of teams this year. At least I don't know, especially the last few wins with Tua and Bengals.
Yeah.
So this will be a test for their team to show if they're actually playoff ready, as what their record's showing to be one of the last spots in the playoffs right now.
Right.
So this will show them to see if they're actually ready for the big dogs. I mean,
Because
playing this, we're supposed to be the top offense. So.
And that's the thing about it. I mean, their offense isn't that great. I mean, they're still middle of the road, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
It's actually pretty bad. I mean, they're 28th all the overall, 24 in the pass, 26th rush.
Well, sorry, Miami fans. I tried to give you some kind of leeway.
Those numbers are also Fitzpatrick's number, not just him. He was doing his job, but Tua's only gotten a couple starts. So, I mean, at least late in the year, most of those offensive stats are more without Tua. He did have a pretty good, efficient game last week. I'm pretty sure it was a pretty high rating, too. I'm not exactly sure what it was. So, he seems to be smart and make right decisions. So, I mean,
do you worry about him though, like as a team, the whole overall? As a
I
team?
do. The more I look at it, I'm not as worried about it, but it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a tough one.
Because as you told me earlier, Aiden, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 8-4 ain't a
is
bad
not a
record.
joke.
That's pretty sure that's what we were sitting at this point in the year. Last year
and
it was
we
9-3
balled out
or something.
Yeah, and we balled out to show the world we could get through it. So.
They got a pretty young team for the most part. A lot of them are younger guys, so they're still learning the game. Especially Tua. I mean, it's his first year and getting thrown in the fire like that. Had a little bit to watch under Fitzpatrick, but
this is some pressure. Your first. This is your first real serious game. You taking on the Super Bowl champs, and you beating them could ensure your playoff bid.
Oh yeah,
100%.
And then give them a lot of momentum going into the playoffs, especially feeling like I think at this point we would be their first match.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Or no, I think we'd get somebody else, but we might end up running into them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a test to let them know if they'll be able to hang in the playoffs. They can beat us. Right now, they could possibly beat us in the playoffs, but it ain't happening. I don't think. I don't feel like it. It's gonna be a good one. But
now we've talked about both teams, especially ours, offensively and defensively, and they're 11-1, and from what everybody tells me, you can't critique them because they're 11-1. But for the last few weeks, they've been playing not up to their standard. Is it fair to critique them?
I mean, if you're just wanting for the best of them, yeah. I mean, you got to critique everybody. How do you fix your problems? I mean, nobody's perfect, and you're not always going to have every game, you're going to have every play perfect and happen correctly. So, I mean, you got to critique yourself. That's the only way you can get better. Look at your faults to better them and see what you're doing wrong, or even if you're doing it right, you can do it better.
Right.
So that's what Andy says every week. It's my job to get the guys in place and give them the best, put them in the best position to make the best play.
Right. And because I feel like offensively they haven't played like they usually do, and defensively they've looked very worrisome.
Up and down.
Up and down. Exactly. And people like us who are like dedicated fans who just want to see them play to their perfection status. Because nobody's perfect, but you can't strive for perfection. They're not playing like that. Like as you said, stat-wise, we're pretty much the same place we were last year. But does it feel like it? Like, does it feel like we need to be critical, or we just need to calm down like we should have last year?
Be calm about it, but at the same time, just be aware of stuff that could be a possible hazard. I mean, you can't just go in there saying, "Oh, we got it. This is cakewalk," because that's kind of been the problem. It seems like it's hard for them to get a sense of urgency at the beginning of the game. That's why we're having a problem getting the games going. Usually we start a little slow and a little sluggish, and then towards the end of the game, so when we start picking it up, get going. So, I mean, you got to kick it. But at the same time, you don't want to take what's happening for granted. I mean, we got a great team right now. This is a great era of Chiefs football, so enjoy it. But, yeah, you got to critique stuff and keep it on point.
And I think I feel the same. I don't want to be too hard on them because they're elite, and they're always going to be elite. And we have to, like you said, this is the Mahomes era, and you just have to appreciate it. 50 years of being patient, and now we're at this point to where we are the best team, and we're probably going to be like that for the next few years. I think that people like us, and that's, people like us just are very critical because, 3 years ago, we were always talking about playoffs and nothing more because that's what we were so.
Well, a little more than that.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we were just accustomed to almost there.
Yeah, if we could just get in and make a couple lucky plays, we might win a game.
And now that we're champs, we're top of the mountain. I feel like a lot of fans have gotten complacent. It's like, oh, we got Mahomes. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like that. I just want us to be like last year. Everybody was very critical last year. Well, we couldn't. We almost. We could fuck up. Mess up or whatever. And it's like now everybody's like, oh, we're champions.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
we got it.
Yeah, we got it. I mean, do you feel like that, or are we really being overcautious here?
I mean, some of the fans, I don't think the team's necessarily like that. They kind of, I don't know, I guess with their play, though, they do kind of seem like they get like that. Oh, we got it. There's no worries. Yeah. Even if we make a bad play, Mahomes is going to make another one here.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I don't think it's too much to worry about, but they got to get a hold of it there, honestly, because I feel like we can't start off slow once we get into the playoffs, especially those teams. If we get to the Super Bowl and it's against the Saints or the Packers, they'll take advantage of those mess ups.
Yeah, they will.
Especially see how efficient they're playing without Breeze right now with Hill.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they'll figure it out though. Reed always gets them on point, and he stays on his P's and Q's there. Like I said, every week he's always go back to film, see what's wrong, we get the guys on point, so that they always address it.
Well, all right. And last question, give me a prediction, bro.
It's a tough one. I almost want 2 this week, but no, can't do that. God. 31-20, I'm gonna say. 31-20.
I don't care. I'm lying. It's 40-10. There. That's what the score is gonna be.
Well, that would have been my second one. That's why I wanted 2. I feel like it's gonna be close, or we're gonna blow them out. I don't see a loss happening, but I feel like it's gonna be a close one.
It's gonna be 40-10.
It's gonna be a good one.
We'll be drinking tea about that.
It'll be nice because I'm gonna be on the road watching it on my phone while I'm in the car.
Yeah, we won't even be able to watch the game together.
Shame on me. Shame.
All right, then. You've gotten the hands off discussion with me and my boys Dubs as always. If you like this video, why don't you give it a like, subscribe, follow us both because you know you want to hear us off. Now that's another hands off discussion. Go home now.